right, everybody, welcome back to 21st Century Music Theory, Vocabulary Skills for Today's Musicians. Today we're going to talk about basic approaches to composing and transcribing music. Michael, what is the difference? What is it?
Yeah, so what most people call composing music is actually the art of improvisation. It's coming up with ideas, throwing them out, and formulating them into something. The act of composing is when we fine-tune them, and transcribing is the act of actually writing it down. So we have a permanent record of the melody and the harmony and the rhythms, and it's a pretty essential skill to composition.
Okay, so composition then is the act of saying, okay, I've got something thrown down, a bunch of ideas, let's fine tune them, all right? Let's determine the final product, all right? Let's get it down.
Yeah, so transcription, right, is an even more defined process of taking our final ideas and writing them down on staff paper so we have a permanent record of our thoughts and ideas and we can pass them down potentially forever.
Okay, what are some of the basic steps for learning to compose and transcribe?
Yeah, so again, we can only write what we know, so the first thing we want to do is go back and get our basics in terms of pitches and rhythms, keys and scales, and then basic chords. Okay. Once we have this information, now we can go ahead and begin the reconfiguration of this vocabulary and start to learn the process of transcribing one step at a time. So we're going to break these steps down. If you follow these steps initially, it won't be very long at all until you're able to take something that's quite difficult at first and actually take the vibrations out of the air and put them down onto staff paper.
Okay. Start from your strengths and work towards your weaknesses.
This means simply, whatever is your strongest skill will likely get your best composition. Don't start with chords if you only play a few chords. Melody if you have no confidence in singing, or lyrics if you've never written poetry. Find your strength and begin there. If we start with our weaknesses, we limit our composition to the area where we have the least vocabulary.
Collaborate often.
Now, whatever else you need for your composition, start working with those people who excel at that skill. If I'm a vocalist, I'll work with accomplished guitarists or pianists to improve my harmony. If I play chords well but struggle with melodies, I'll work with any instrumentalist or vocalist with strong melodic skills. In other words, collaboration is the way we improve our composition abilities. We will eventually arrive to the point where these skills are strong. All these skills might eventually become our strengths, but doing it all yourself just keeps you in your own head. And so we want to make sure we continue to not to use the same vocabulary, to expand our vocabulary by working with other people.
Composition is a process of stages.
We also want to improve the basic skills of observation, sonographing and observing creative musical ideas, or for a songwriter, observing people, life, reading and taking notes. Improving our command of instruments so we have more variation with which to reflect on our ideas or compose. And practicing improvisation, which is the art of risk-taking and creative reconfiguration of our existing vocabulary. Just remembering, the more vocabulary we have, the greater our improvisations, or greater diversity our improvisations will take on. And finally, we come to refinement, which is the act of deciding on and transcribing our musical ideas in physical form, which we can do in 6 rather defined and simple steps, which we will demonstrate now. You'll want to slow these steps down until you can get a sense of mastery of one step at a time. And you're able to isolate the various parts of a melody or a rhythm, get them down one by one, and then eventually build on the art of transcription. Capturing musical ideas into notation really doesn't take all that long. What it does take is the focus on one step at a time. So here are the steps. Okay, step 1. Sing, sing, sing. Get the music in your body. We can't say this enough, but the more you sing and use your body and capture the ideas in your body, the faster you'll be able to transcribe. So, in this particular case, remember, when you write the music, you're going to set your instrument down. And so the only thing you have is your voice. In order for you to transcribe the music, you've got to be able to do it, whether it's a drum part or a vocal part or whatever. Okay? Step 2, sonograph what you want to write. Just as with the sonographs of entire pieces, we also sonograph whatever we hope to write, a melody, a rhythmic idea, a chord progression. That is, how many sections is it? What is the meter, the time signature for the math, and exactly how many measures are we going to have to block out? Then we block out our staff paper. In this particular case, I'm going to do a 4-bar melody, the first 4 bars of the melody, and I'll do them in small sections. Okay? So let's go ahead, we'll block out the first 4 bars. In this case, I've already done that. So we have our 4 bars blocked out. This is the sonograph step 2. All right, step 3. Block out your staff paper and include beat markers. 1, 2, okay, let's play that example.
I'll be thinking
4,
of you
2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to play it again, and I'll show you. I determined that this was a 4-measure section that I wanted to write out, that I was in fact in common time, or 4/4, and that I want to do just 4 measures at a time. So I put beat markers above. Let's go ahead and listen to it again.
I'll be thinking
4,
of you
2, 2,
tonight while you're
1,
gone.
2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now step 4. Determine the smallest subdivision or type of note that is being used. This step can make transcriptions of rhythms much simpler. That is, once we know that it is primarily an 8th note, or a triplet, or a 16th note that is being used in the music, that is a subdivision of 2, 3, or 4 per beat, now we can create a grid of subdivisions right across our music, and literally we can make a visual picture of the music almost in real time. The key here is making sure that we have the correct subdivision. So let's listen to it again and see if we can figure out how many subdivisions is the smallest piece in the melody.
I'll be thinking of you tonight while you're
1
gone.
and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I'll be thinking about you. So there we have the subdivision. It's basically what? 2 subdivisions, 1 and 2 and, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that means that our smallest subdivision in this case is 8 notes. So now I'm going to make a grid of these 8 notes all the way across that will allow me to literally make a picture of the rhythm, which I'll then transcribe into actual pitches and actual rhythms. Okay, so don't forget this step, because it'll make your process of transcribing of music, and particularly of rhythms, much easier. If you forget this step, you're kind of guessing now. And with this step, conversely, and I'll show you in a little bit, we'll take some more complicated rhythms, you can actually make a picture of the most complicated rhythm almost in no time. Okay? All right, so step 5, plot the dots of the rhythm. The big point here is that we want to make sure that we have the melody and the rhythm clear in our voice. We're going to slow this down to the point that we can go ahead and plot the dots of the rhythm. Let's make sure we have it in our body. Let's listen to it one more time, and let's hum along. Forget the words now. Remember, we're not writing, we don't care about the lyrics, we just care about the music. All right?
I'll
La
be
la 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 la. La 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 la. 3, 4. Now let's see if we can do it by ourselves. 3, 4, 1. La 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 la. La 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 la. Off. Okay, let's try that. I'm going to slow it down. Once I have it in my body, I can actually slow it down. I'm going to tap the subdivisions with my left hand. So, da 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 da. Okay, and then with my right hand, I'm going to actually put dots on where the notes occur. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and La 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 la. And then it's off here. Okay, so now step 6. We're going to go ahead and convert the rhythm and add the pitches and transcribe into actual notation. So once we have the dots up here, we can go ahead and now add the pitches to this and convert this to actual notation. So in this particular case, I have nothing here for the first beat. That would be a quarter note rest. Then it starts on a B flat. Now I'd have to go and probably find my starting note. I will eventually determine the key. In this particular case, the key is actually A flat minor, which is the same as C flat major. We'll talk about that in a later video. So I don't care as much about that for right now. All I need to do is get this. I'm starting on a B flat. La 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 la. So I have a string of eighth notes. This slides down. La. This is an eighth note rest. La 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 la. And it converts over to an eighth note, la, and this is a C flat. Actually, I'm going to move my stem down here and then move over here. And so what we did, and initially you'll just start with working on getting the dots up for transcribing the melody, then you convert the dots to rhythm. You can then go to the guitar or the piano and actually plunk out the notes and assign the pitches to the rhythm. But the biggest thing is we're taking stuff we hear in the air and we're actually making a picture of it. So memorize these steps and do them if you can one by one until you no longer need them, or maybe you only need them when you come across a difficult musical example or a difficult and complex rhythm.
All right, number 1, memorize. Get the music in your body.
Number 2, sonograph the form, the meter, and the number of measures of each section, remembering you'll probably want to transcribe just 4 measures at a time.
Number 3, block out measures and beat markers.
Number 4, determine the subdivisions of the music. Remember, don't forget this step, because once you create the grid of the subdivisions, it's much easier to do the last 2 steps.
All right. Number 5, plot the dots of the music on the subdivisions grid slowly.
And number 6, convert the dots into rhythm and add the pitches so that you actually have a melody. Learning to write melodies with correct rhythms and pitch is a great place to start for transcription. Later, we'll master these composition skills as well. A, determine the key of the piece of music.
B, write down your chord options for the key.
C, create a unique and special bass line, which will give you the outline of the chords most likely to be used.
D, plug in the chords that apply to the bass line.
Okay, E, when you don't like a chord, look for other chords that have the bass note as their 3rd and 5th note. We call these chord inversions. When these don't work,
F, look for other chords with the bass note. Or remember, often the bass note will move, but the chord remains the same.
right, and G, then we add the tensions or extensions to the harmony or to the chords. Based on a simple formula, we'll extend the triads with standard additions based on the genre or style of music. And we'll cover all these techniques in later videos. And then finally, H is the completion of the lead sheet or the notation of the song or the composition. This is when we put it into a software program, but only after we've done all the ear and guessing work ourselves. That is, the computer has no need to train its ear. It's us that wants to train ours.
Right.
Okay, we know that's a lot of information. You may want to watch this a few times and definitely build this into your regimen. Transcribing music, especially the music that you admire of others, means that we get their vocabulary into our brain, we increase the speed at which we can compose and create music, and yes, we create notation or a picture of what we want in order to share it for others or to remember it later. If you choose to compose by ear, You now understand more about what you are doing, and that process speeds up so that you can do it better, and again, so that we have a permanent record we can share with others.